Hi, I'm Alan, and I'm one of the instructors here at We Can Code It.
Hi, I'm Kendra, and I'm the admissions representative for the Columbus campus at We Can Code It.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm the Student Success Program Manager.
Hi, I'm Lacey Nichols, and I am the Career Services Student Success Coach here at We Can Code It.
We're going to have you join us where we're going to teach you how to build web pages with
HTML,
CSS,
and JavaScript. Welcome to our Learn to Code video on making fetch GET requests on an API. And this is a really big part of our coding bootcamp. And for this demo, we are going to use the Star Wars API, SWAPI that it's known as. And basically what an API is the data layer of your web application. So in our full stack boot camps, whether you're in Java, JavaScript, or C#, you are going to learn how to create the APIs. You can customize and create these to your liking with whatever information that you would want to put in there. And then you will be able to build out a front-end application that talks to your API on the back end, which is our whole idea of what a full stack developer would be like. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to use this Star Wars API here. And the way this works is you hit on a request, or you hit on an endpoint here, which is basically their site plus the endpoint. And this is people/1, and you get the information for Luke Skywalker. So if I do people/4 and make a request, notice I get the information for Darth Vader. And this is called JSON that's coming back to us, JavaScript object notation. And it is all the data that is attached to this API. If I do general people, plural, I get the collection of the entire database. So all 87 people that are tied into this Star Wars API. And so that's what we are going to make our fetch requests on. And we're not going to make any CSS here, so we'll just enclose this in. So we're just going to keep this really, really simple here with our HTML. And actually, we will just make a div with an ID of app. And that is where our content will go. So that's pretty much it for the HTML here. And so now we're ready for the JavaScript, and we can make fetch requests. Let me go out and navigate to some documentation here on fetch. I really think this would be great for you to read up on using fetch and web APIs on MDN, which is a great resource, and it gives you that basic structure there for the fetch request, which is going to be very, very similar to what we're about to do here in our application. So we'll start out with our fetch, and we want to fetch the location of the API. And so that's what we're going to do here. And we need the endpoint. So I'm going to start us with Luke Skywalker here at people/1. So we'll set up our response. And we'll set up our JSON data. We're going to grab our JSON data here, and this is where we will do most of our work in this application. And it's notice that we have an opening bracket there, a closing bracket, then we put the parenthesis on line 5. So let's go ahead and console log JSON data. And we can inspect our page here and take a look at what comes back to us. So I've got a issue here going on, so that's expected here when we're coding. Unexpected token, and this is a closing parenthesis. And do I need a semicolon there? Nope, still got an issue. Right there, I have an opening parenthesis that I'm missing. So we can place that on there. There we go. And now we are console logging our data for Luke Skywalker, which is person number 1, or the first item within our API. It's really good to do console logging because you can start to see the information that's coming back before you actually render it on your page. I can do something like JSON data.name, and then I'll grab that name variable only, and so that just comes back with Luke Skywalker, but not all of the other information that's attached to that person in the API. And so these are all the variables. There's name, height, mass, hair color. So you have all these different variables here. So we'll pick a few of those that we want to render on our page, and we'll go ahead and bring them into our application. All right, so I'm just going to back this out and leave it with the JSON data so we can see everything that we're working with here. And now let's go ahead and start to build out some items in our div. And so I recommend before watching this video that you check out the Learn to Code video on inner HTML. And that will really help to give you some perspective on how this works here. But what we're going to use is some ES6 syntax here. And we're going to change the inner HTML of that div. And we're going to do this with ES6 syntax with the backticks. The backticks in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard above tab. And so I'm going to place some content in here, which will be all of the information on the fetch request. So grabbing the data and then rendering it on our page. So let's say we put Luke Skywalker in an H2 here. So we'll create the element. And we're going to use ES6 syntax here with the $ and these curly brackets. And that will basically grab that variable that we want here and place it inside. So we're going to go ahead and grab JSON data.name. We're going to see Luke Skywalker populate on our page there. So let's go ahead and add a few other pieces of information. We'll put an H3 in here. And let's go ahead and do the eye color. And it's okay to put some text in there as well. So notice what I'll do here is on the front of my variable grab there, in front of that $, I'll just label that with eye color so that we know what we're looking at. And we'll do one more H3. You can see the gender show up there. And now that we're getting no content there, I snuck in by accident those quotes, and so that was throwing us off. And so there we have Luke Skywalker. So we can see his information showing up. Now one last piece of information here, we can do a catch-all, and we can console log some errors that may come up with our fetch requests. This is very helpful there. If you inspect on in your browser there, you can inspect and grab some errors that may show up. It may give you some clues into what's happening here, what's going on. Right now I've got an issue that we've got to take care of. And it's looking like it's going to be that semicolon on line 12. I'm going to have to move that down. It kind of snuck in there from the work that I was doing before. There it is, and so we'll grab that and we'll remove it. Place that semicolon on line 13, all of our information comes back to us. So no problems there. And you can see here, if I would mistype my gender variable, it comes up as undefined, right? So that information wasn't grabbed properly, and it's not going to render anything there. So if you see undefined, it usually is going to mean there's an issue. Check with your API, see if you are actually talking to the variables in the right way. And once we fix that, it comes back to us there. And so that is Luke Skywalker at position 1. We can change this information here. We can show 2, and it'll update. So our robots, like R2D2 here that we'll look at here at position 3, gender comes up not applicable because it's a robot. And this is interesting. Darth Vader, for whatever reason right now in the API, doesn't want to come back to us. So we can see that it's not working. And that's no issue with our code. There's something going on there in the API. And we get Princess Leia here at position 5. And so that is a basic fetch request. And now you have the power to take the information from the API and do what you want with it here in the front end. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and we do a deep dive into this, and we spent a lot of weeks on API and fetch requests in our full stack bootcamp.
If you're interested in learning more about We Can Code It or how to be a full stack software developer, please visit our website at www.wecancodeit.org. Email us at admissions@wecancodeit.org or visit some of the links in our description.